Every job I've ever had has had something to do with sales or customer service. I used to work at Car Toys, top salesperson there for the 2 years that I was there. And my dad invited me to join his mortgage company as a processor, just so I had some way to learn about the business while kind of seeing the back of the behind the scenes. During that time, I was in the process of getting my real estate license with the end goal of, at some point, selling real estate because I couldn't really sit behind a desk my whole entire life. So I was developing relationships with other brokers, learning about the appraisal process, what it takes to qualify someone, which I think all in all made me a better real estate broker by the time I actually got my real estate license when I was 21. As I was developing my experience, I basically said, I will drive anywhere, an hour and a half, 2 hours, didn't really matter, in one day to do any transaction at any price point, just so I can get the experience and get the transactions underneath my belt. So my first year in the business, I did 26 transactions. While I was doing business everywhere to continue earning an income, I started centering it more on the Eastside and even more specifically on Kirkland. I went to every open house, I met with all the brokers, I just developed relationships and started gaining experience where I could feel knowledgeable. If I'm sitting at an open house, I could talk about that house down the street that sold, that house down the street that's coming on the market. I kind of became an expert in the business in that neighborhood over time. So I noticed early on in my career that real estate brokers didn't pick up their phone, didn't respond to emails as fast as even I wanted them to when I'm trying to do a deal on the buyer's end. Contact the listing agent, they don't work after 6 o'clock, they're not available over the weekend, you could be missing out on transactions. So I made it a point early on in my career to focus on a very high level customer service, and that comes from communication. I made myself available. Right before my wedding, there's a video of me sitting there on the phone 20 minutes before I'm walking down the beach where we got married in Maui. I'm on the phone with a real estate broker talking about a transaction. My phone's always glued to my hand. Family loves it, not, but the point is I get deals done and I'm very successful. My clients really appreciate the fact that I'm always available to them. So very early in my career, I think I was probably one of the first brokers who had a pocket PC that I ordered from Japan. It cost me $1,000 and I lost one, ordered another one because it made me available. I was able to plug my computer in at a Starbucks and do a deal and go out to my car, and I had a printer with an inverter where I could print a contract, take pictures of it with my phone and send it to the real estate broker because I'd be working somewhere an hour and a half, 2 hours away, and I could be efficient. By the time I got to my destination, I already had a response to my offer. So when I started in the business, I started with a different company. I actually believed that it was more the real estate broker than it was the brokerage that the broker represented. After 4 years in the business, I noticed that, and I wanted to transition into luxury real estate. I noticed that all the luxury properties in the area were all represented by Windermere. And I started asking questions and I started learning, and I realized that Windermere has all these different tools with international marketing and training for their brokers and the higher standards of practice. And when I was making an offer and I was competing against another Windermere broker, whether it's actually I'm on a listing side or representing a buyer, I felt like I was disadvantaged because Windermere brokers all were considered higher. Windermere had all these tools, and as I was transitioning to luxury real estate, I was looking for a company who offered something unique and had a presence on the East Side specifically, and I chose Windermere. So a few years into the business, here comes the Great Recession. We had transactions that were in escrow, literally funding. This is supposed to be funding that same day, and the bank shut down. It's a very, very stressful time. We were hearing, obviously, of things starting to change more rapidly in other parts of the country, and short sales were becoming a thing, and bank-owned properties were becoming a thing. And I started learning, started taking classes, watching videos online, and reading about short sales because that was coming our way. I did hundreds of short sales at that time, and I was negotiating them for my clients, and other real estate brokers were hiring me to negotiate transactions for them because I was getting short sales done in 30 to 60 days when the average was 120 to 8 months. I started attending auctions, meeting investors, doing some flips on my own. I found a niche that I was really good at during a time when real estate transactions were very difficult to put together. And one of my biggest breakthroughs into the ultra luxury was an interview with a builder on a new construction home that was super unique to the neighborhood, very, very high end. The owner was actually a real estate broker with a different firm. He interviewed me because I had a presence in Kirkland. However, he had, this relationship with the company that he was with, but I own the market in that neighborhood. While we're sitting there, I'm telling him about how I still door knock and I cold call. I'm not afraid to do that. I'm a go-getter. I'm like the guy, the dog with the bone. You give me a task, I'm gonna go get it done. After the interview was done, the next day I'm in that neighborhood knocking on doors because I have a client who wants to buy a teardown and wants to build in that neighborhood. I see his car up the street and he beelines straight for me, gets out of the car, he goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm knocking on doors." He goes, "Huh, you actually do that? You're hired." No joke. I got that big listing specifically because I did exactly what I said I do. So even though I started in sales and I've had a lot of success with real estate sales, I've realized that real estate is not about the transaction. It's about the lifelong relationship that I create with a customer. And my goal is to become a lifelong real estate resource for you.